So now we'll be welcoming Leah from Indonesia. Leah Zakiyyah is a research associate at the Institute of Sustainable Earth and Resources at Universitas Indonesia and climate change communication practitioner. So Leah, the floor over to you.
Thank you very much, Natalie. Hi, everyone. Good morning. I'm Leah, now based in Jakarta, work from home. So happy to be here, and I'm going to share some materials about climate change communication and how the importance of targeting the right audience for campaigning for climate actions. So because my background is a researcher, especially for behavioral change communication, and then I have been involved in several youth activities across Indonesia to kind of educate them and then empower them. That's the most important thing, empower them to know that they have a power to create change, both in their society, their neighborhood, or also nationwide. So I've also worked for the government as well. So I have, have some awareness of how difficult it is in the policy level to move things forward. There are political issue and then economic interests involved in that. So while I'm also still have connection with the government, I also very passionate about working with youth in Indonesia, especially from different areas in Indonesia. As you see that, Indonesia has the 4th largest population in the world. And then we are in the top 10, always in the top 10 of global emitters right now every year. And then we have 17,558 islands. It's a bit difficult to pronounce. And we have also different cultures and languages. So we're very diverse in terms of communities, cultures, as well as understanding about climate change. So that's what we need to know before we conduct such campaigns to not only raise awareness, but encourage them to take a real action. And if you have heard that, Indonesia experience a lot of mega fires, our neighbors might can witness that as well, because you experience the impacts like the Singaporeans and the Malaysians. And we also have a lot of disasters related to climate change. And a lot of people are vulnerable, especially in the eastern area of Indonesia, the small islands. Also because we have a lot of islands, a lot of people live in the coastal areas where, combined with the excessive underground water extractions, it really creates a lot of disasters on the coastline. So we're very vulnerable on climate change. We emit quite a lot and potentially will be way more, because right now the energy sector is not very climate friendly. We are planning to double our coal power plants in Indonesia, and then we're planning to clear more land as a way to, a quick recovery from the pandemic. So if we're not very concerned about this, and then we don't watch this very closely, and then demand the government to take more actions on this, it will be very difficult. And especially when in Indonesia we have direct elections for the president, as well as for the 500 local governments, cities, province. It's very important as well to educate the public that the role of government is important. So that's why we need to encourage them not only changing individually, but also trying to move the to make more political participation stronger. So as you see that we need to understand the level of understanding of the people and the perception of people before we're trying to make them do some actions. In Indonesia, the level of awareness about climate change is still pretty limited, though now it's much more progressing since a decade ago or a few years ago. But we need way more discussions on this, because people's attentions are not on this. This is kind of in the bottom list of people's concern. And then also there are a lot of knowledge that needs to be updated as well, as you see in here. So this is some studies that have been conducted by a few organizations. We need way more studies like this, and I'm about to do so for my PhD project. And also we are very vulnerable to climate change, but we prepared the least compared to the others. There's this, the base in Asia, mostly way more than in Indonesia. So we need to also address this one. And the motivators for action sometimes not only about environment, sometimes we need to frame it or choose another angle that is more relevant to them while slowly trying to build some knowledge on that. And also the confidence in levels of government. So this is creating some some segmentation. So this is way updated. It's 2012, but like no recent studies nationwide conducted on this. So I'm planning to do that next year to give us more a good picture of Indonesian audience. So a lot of this, you don't see any denials there. Most people are kind of accepted what needs to be done, but they have limited knowledge on that. And if we compare it to America's case, it's different. And then I'm sure in your country it's also different. So we need to have this kind of studies to make our message, more receptive by them. Because climate change is actually a communication emergency. And one media expert here said that it's possible to make it important, but hard to make it interesting. And people now, with all the distractions, they need something that grab their attention. In Indonesia, because we are mostly a society that holds on tradition and then also religion, the role of religious leaders and community leaders are important. So that's I think one of the key opinion leaders that we need to hold. Other than the celebrities also started to influence the public in general through making movies that played in cinemas, not only documentary movies. So they started to have some impacts, but a good study needs to be conducted to know objectively what the impacts are to people's mind. And we also need to understand the barriers to response.
Yes, thank you so much, Leah. But unfortunately, time is about.
If I can get 30 seconds, is that okay?
Maybe we can wrap up.
So now we have all these traditions in Indonesia that we need to try to bring it again to people that this is actually climate friendly, and then this is one of the Youth for Climate Camp Indonesia, where we empower them to choose their own action, whether they go to the street for Fridays for Future, or they cook, or they write, or they sing, or they make TikTok videos. So it's up to them, as long as we empower them and we really monitor their progress over time, how many participants they impacted, how many artworks they created. It actually can go hand in hand. And also not to forget that we ask them to also meet the governments as well. We make the governments as a keynote listener instead of keynote speakers, and the youth who are the one who is demanding. So that's what we need to do. And then hopefully by gathering all all here people, activists from other countries as well, I think we can combine forces to make this more widely learning from best practices from other countries. Thank you so much.